Hey, good afternoon. So let's do a reading of the Blake Lively deposition. It is 41 pages, and I'm just doing this so that those of you who like to listen as opposed to read, you have a resource to do so. And if you saw on my other platform, you saw that I've already read some of this deposition. So you know some of my thoughts already on what this deposition, well, the great unsealing actually is doing to this case. So this is going to be a hard read. And not only is it going to be a hard read, um, the secondhand embarrassment that I have is next level. There's just so many things that it's unbelievable, the level and degree that she's willing to go to make these claims without having anything to back them up, and to believe that this was actually going to be successful. It speaks to the, I guess, veracity of their commitment. I don't know. So let's get into it. This is Exhibit 24, document 1245-8, the Blake Lively deposition. This is dated, hold on. Um, okay, so this is dated July 31st, 2025, and it starts off, Attorney Schuster, that's correct. Attorney Hudson. Okay, thank you. Blakely, oh, you know what? Give me just a moment. I do need to say that one thing. Okay, sorry, handling some things. Hi. Hey, maladaptive malady. Oh, great. Okay, so the first live, and it's a live reading of the Blake Lively deposition. This is just, if you've seen my other posts, you're gonna know the secondhand embarrassment that I have, and also just it's a hard read. I'll give you that much. So going back to the statement, Blake Lively, called as a witness, having been first duly sworn by a notary public, was examined and testified as follows. Examination by Attorney Friedman. Amazing. I love that Friedman was able to question Blake. There's something about all of the attorneys, they all have their own flavor, but for some reason, I delight in the idea that Friedman was the one to question Blake Lively. Very unhinged. Good morning. What's your full legal name? And it's redacted. They have her full legal name redacted, which I think is a bit ridiculous because even if her name isn't Blake Lively, why? And what is your date of birth? Redacted. Why? Just come on. Um, okay. How long have you been an actress? 21 years. Do you recall the year you started? Professionally? 2004. You agreed to play the role of Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us at the end of 2022. Is that correct? Yes. Prior to that time, had you heard about the book with the same title? Prior to agreeing? Yes. Yes. And then it skips. It jumps from this page, which was page 12, and goes to page 21. And that page starts with Baldoni was, I was aware of him. How were you aware of him? I am friends with and follow Liz Plank, who does a podcast with him, and I follow an account called Celebrity Kind, who has featured him before. That was the extent of my awareness. When did you first meet Liz Plank? Blake Ellender Lively. And that's the thing, is if it's publicly known, if it's publicly listed, why it's ridiculous. I can't with this whole team. When did you first meet Liz Plank? I don't recall, around 2020? How did you meet Liz Plank? I don't remember. We have a lot of mutual friends. Who are your mutual friends? Attorney Hudson. Objection. Answer. Kate Vorhoff, Justin Trudeau. They're people that, with more degrees of separation that we have, run in the same circles as. Question. Now, I understand that you had heard that Justin Baldoni was involved in the film. What did you learn about what his involvement was? Attorney Hudson. Objection. Answer. I learned that he was the director and was to star as the male lead in the film, as well as retaining the rights as Warren described. And did you have any concern prior to accepting the role that that would be some sort of an issue, that he would be both the lead actor and also, be the director? Answer. I have worked with actors before who have been both the actor and director, so it's not necessarily an immediate concern. But there are many factors at play with each person. And were there factors at play specifically with Mr. Baldoni as the male lead and the director during that time? Specific to him? Not necessarily. Every job, you have to consider all elements and all factors. Okay. Prior to accepting the role to play Lily Bloom, had you met Justin Baldoni? Answer. Yes. Sorry, my dog is losing his mind over his food. On how many occasions? My God, it's empty. On how many occasions? One. He's not going to stop, will he? Oh, okay. On how many occasions? One. Where was the meeting? In New York City, in my apartment. How long did that meeting last? I don't recall. It was a couple of hours. And do you recall when that meeting was? December of 2022. Now, this line of questioning, we're not sure if the answers are correct, like if it's a typo kind of a situation, because then it says 2023 and we're like, did they mean 24? I don't know. Anyways, and how was it determined that that meeting would take place at your apartment in New York City? Agents from my end. I don't know how it was determined. Let me go fix this bowl. It literally just smells like food, so he was gonna do that endlessly. um, Agents from my end, I don't know how it was determined from anyone else's. And do you recall the day that you actually met Justin Baldoni in your apartment? Attorney Hudson, objection. Are you asking about the date? Yes. No. Do you know whether it was during the day or in the evening? Day. And who was present at that meeting? At the meeting, well, the two of us were in the meeting, but there were many people present. Who else was present? My sister was there. Uh, my family was there. We have employees coming in and out constantly. And tell me what you recall about that meeting and what you said during that meeting. Can you be more specific? Sure. Do you believe that you were personally SH'd in connection with the making of the film It Ends With Us? Attorney Hudson, objection. Yes. Who do you believe sexually harassed you? Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath. Anyone else? If you're asking if my gender played a role in the behavior towards me, I would add Steve Sarowitz to that. How did Steve Sarowitz sexually harass you? He was the chairman of the studio, is my understanding, and this is the studio that I was raising concerns with. And instead of addressing concerns, I believe that I was dismissed. And so, to use my own description, I do believe my gender played a role in how I was treated. Did you ever discuss with Steve Sarowitz the fact that you were sexually harassed? No. Did Steve Sarowitz ever say anything to you that you felt was inappropriate or made you uncomfortable? To me, no. Did Steve Sarowitz affirmatively do anything himself that made you feel uncomfortable or you felt was inappropriate? When I felt him attending the birth scene was inappropriate. When was the birthing scene? May of 2023. What did Justin Baldoni do to sexually harass you? Attorney Hudson, objection. Can you be more specific? Sure. You're claiming that Justin Baldoni sexually harassed you, correct? Yes, it's a long complaint. Is that a yes? Yes. What did he do to sexually harass you? Attorney Hudson, objection. There were a series of things. Do you recall the first thing that he did where you felt you were sexually harassed? Attorney Hudson, objection. There were things that he said and did where at the time you don't totally you feel confused by someone's behavior or words being at odds with who they say they are. And you start to see different pieces come together and the workplace feels overwhelming. So there were different moments. What is the first thing that you recall? I recall him telling me that he's circumcised. When did he tell you that? In December of 2022. And where were you physically when he told you that? At my apartment. Was that the same meeting that we were previously discussing or a different meeting? It was the same meeting. And how did that come up? Were you discussing something or it just came up out of the blue? I was pregnant and I didn't know the gender of my child, and we were discussing different decisions that parents make and different factors, having boys versus girls. I only had girls, and we were discussing the different medical decisions people make these days, including circumcision for male babies. And did he bring that up or did you bring that up? I don't remember. What did he say about circumcision? He told me the decision that they made for their child, they being him and his wife, Emily. And then he offered that he was circumcised. And did you say anything in response to that? I was in shock. You say you were in shock. You couldn't speak or you I don't know. I don't know what I said or did. Did you tell him that you were offended by it? No. Did you discuss with anyone the fact that you were offended by him saying that? Yes. Who did you Who did you discuss that with? My husband. Attorney Hudson, objection. About what? Can you be more specific? About him being circumcised. About him being circumcised, that's all I remember. Did his comment in any way cause you to reconsider whether you wanted to do the film or not? I found it disturbing, but given that it was one comment and he seemed nice, I wrote it off as him taking a benign conversation too far and hoped and assumed it would be an isolated incident. Did you ever tell him that he had taken that comment, and by making that comment, he had taken that too far? Yes. Okay. When did you tell him that? Me personally? Yes. I believe the date was January 4th, 2023. This is what I question if it's a typo. Prickly pear. I don't the whole genitalia, like, circumcision stuff, I don't genuinely understand. So I question the typo or if it's a typo with these dates because January 4th, 2023, I don't know. Anyways, it would be weird if they had a meeting on January 4th, 23 and 24. Just saying. Um, that specific comment, and then it jumps. No, it doesn't. We go to yes. Answer no. Let me read that section again. Question: prior to January 4th, had you told him that he had taken that too far and that was an inappropriate comment? Answer: that specific comment? Question: yes. Answer: no. Question: is there a reason why you didn't say that to him? There are a lot of reasons. He was my boss. He was your boss at that time? Not at that moment, but later. You asked why I didn't say something later. Is there a reason you didn't say something at that time? Attorney Hudson, objection. Answer: I believe I already answered that question. Did you discuss With Warren Zavala, that comment that was made? Answer: I don't believe so, but I don't recall. Did you discuss with anyone else? Anyone else that represents you, like your manager or your agents or anyone else like that, that he had made that comment? Attorney Hudson: well, objection to the extent that question calls for attorney-client privileged communications. If you can answer that question without, and it jumps to page 60. What works better for me is to not read the book in advance because it is hard for me to see the blind spots in the film because you can't unlearn what you know from a book. You can't fill in story or character holes from what you know from a book. So I like to look at the film as its own piece to make sure that it works on its own. Question: in April of 2023, did you know that there were sex scenes in the novel It Ends With Us? Answer: yes. And did you know what sex scenes there were? I don't understand your question. Sure. The book It Ends With Us has sex scenes within the book, correct? Attorney Hudson: objection. I believe so, yes. You're not sure though, right? I know there are sex scenes in the book, yes. Did you read the book? No. How do you know that there are sex scenes in the book? And then it jumps to 83. Hi, good afternoon. I just want to walk through some of the other allegations of sexual harassment. One of the things that's alleged in the amended complaint is: I believe that you're saying that Justin complimented your outfit. Is that correct? Attorney Hudson: objection. Answer: no. Question: are you saying that one of the instances of sexual harassment or something that made you otherwise uncomfortable was there was one day in which Justin commented how much he liked your outfit? Answer: no. Question: did Justin ever say anything inappropriate or that bothered you concerning an outfit that you wore? Attorney Hudson: objection. It's terrible. uh, After Attorney Hudson objection, I answer: there was an incident that made me uncomfortable. Yes. And when was that incident? Late May of 2023. Do you recall the date? I don't know the exact date, no. And do you recall where that took place? Yes. Where did it take place? On a set, a bar set when we were rehearsing. That was that bar scene? No, it was we were rehearsing that scene, but no, it was not the scene. It was when I arrived to work. And can you tell me what happened? Can you be more specific? Sorry. Sure. What about whatever happened there made you feel uncomfortable? I was wearing a I had a newborn baby and I had a jacket on, and that was covering my dress underneath, and I bent down to pick something up and the jacket opened and my dress was low cut because it was easier to feed my baby. And Mr. Baldoni said in front of Justin said in front of I remember in front of Jenny Slate. And I don't remember specifically who else was there, but he said, "I like your outfit," and he gestured at the chest. You just made a movement of your hand. Yes. It's hard for the court reporter to mark those down. What do you mean he made a gesture of his hand and said, "I like your dress"? He gestured across the chest. Did he gesture across your chest or his chest? He said, "I like your outfit." He moved his hand up and down, like above and below his chest or your chest. I was standing in front of him, so I don't know whose chest, but he didn't touch my chest. Okay, if that's what you're asking. When he made the gesture in front of his chest, was his arm closer to his chest or closer to your chest? I don't recall. And what were you doing during this time? Was it during a rehearsal of some sort? We weren't rehearsing the scene yet, but I was on the set to rehearse the scene. And who else was present, if anyone? The person I remember most is obviously, and then it jumps to page 100. Do you recall an instance like that? Yes, those words were used. I have a lot of recollection of, in general, words like that being used. Do you have a specific recollection of a day, time, or scene that Justin had used those words? They would be used in the context of the film. Scenes that needed to be sexy, characters, or wardrobe. Yeah, that would be used in that way. That never made me uncomfortable. Okay, so is it fair to say that any time that Justin either used the term sexy or hot that didn't make you feel uncomfortable? Is that correct? Uh, Objection. That's not what I said. And has Justin ever used the term sexy or hot where it did make you feel uncomfortable? Answer, yes. Okay, when was that? Late May of 2023. And where were you located? The bar set. That was part of the filming of the movie. The bar was a set for the film. It was a real bar, but it was used as a location in the movie. And do you recall what time of day that was? It was early in the day. And where were you standing when he made these comments? In the bar set? Yes. You were standing in the bar set. Any more description you can give me about where in the bar you were standing? There was a table that we were all acting around that was probably in the middle of the bar, but we hadn't begun the scene yet, so we were in the midst of the bar set. And what happened specifically? With what? With him using the term sexy or hot. He asked me to remove a coat that I was wearing, which was a wardrobe coat, which was a part of the look that had been photographed and shared for that scene. And when I arrived to set, he asked me once I was on set, amongst others. I remember once again Jenny Slate standing there, and he said, "Can you take off your coat?" And I thought that it was more interest and I thought it was a more interesting outfit to wear the coat. I thought it was more eclectic and dynamic. And he said, "Well, we want to see it without the coat." So I took the coat off, and under the coat, I was wearing a onesie that was zipped low with a lace bra peeking out because the scene after this is a sex scene or a hookup scene, rather. And he asked me to take off the coat, and I'm standing amongst many cast and crew and extras, and I felt on display. And he said, "I think you look sexy." And I said, "That's not what I'm going for." And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, hot?" And I said, "Not that either." And then he said, well, I guess I missed the HR meeting," and looked at me. I remember him being aware of Jenny Slate and getting a little huffy and walked off, and I performed the scene without the coat. And then it jumps to 125 that he came into your trailer. Answer, evening. And what was the trailer? Unlocked? And was the trailer unlocked? Answer, I don't know if it was unlocked at that point. He attempted to come in and we stopped him from coming in. When you say we, who are you referring to? My hair and makeup artists. Did you have your security there at the time? In my trailer? No. Outside your trailer? I don't know where they were standing at that moment. I'm so sorry. She's exhausting. The name of your security person is Kevin, correct? Attorney Hudson, objection. We have different people who rotate, but was there always someone, a security person outside your trailer? Attorney Hudson, objection. Not necessarily stationed right outside of the hair and makeup door. They patrol. Do you know, as you sit here today, do you recall that specific second day of production, whether or not there was a security person outside your trailer? Attorney Hudson, objection. I don't recall. No, I was inside the trailer, so I wouldn't have seen who was standing there. Did you ever call out for security or ask for security to come in and take Jamie away? Attorney Hudson, objection. No. And how long was Jamie in your trailer for? I don't know exactly, but I would say around 5 minutes. And what was discussed during the 5 minutes that he was in your trailer? We were meant to have a production meeting that night, and he came to my trailer as we were going to have a production meeting in my trailer, and he came to the hair and makeup trailer as I was getting my body makeup removed and my wig off, and so that I could wrap out hair and makeup, and then I could then go into my own trailer and I have a meeting with them. He unexpectedly came to my trailer, knocked on the door, said, "We've got to talk." I said, "We can't talk right now. I'll be there in a few minutes. I'm getting done as fast as I can so we can go have this meeting." He said, "Oh, no, we've got to talk now." And reporter clarification, the witness, from where? Reporter clarification. I said, "I'll meet you in there in a minute. I'm undressed. I'm getting ready for the meeting. I'll be there in just a minute." And he said, "If we don't meet now, we can't do that meeting." And that meeting was very important to me because it was to discuss other behavior I had experienced earlier that day that was concerning to me. So I said, "Okay, fine, you can come in." And he came in and I said, "Okay, you can come in, but please don't look. Can you turn around?" So he turned around and he faced the wall. And I was in front of the hair and makeup mirror as my team was working. They call it double teaming when they are both working at the same time to either get you ready or disassemble you. And I was helping as well so that we could work quickly. And Jamie said that the meeting had to happen on my time. The meeting we were about to have, that it because of my turnaround, which is the time from the time that I am done with work until the time I start again, my turnaround was 12 hours. And he said, "This meeting has to be on your clock. We don't have time for this." And I said, "This isn't a personal meeting. This is a production meeting to discuss how to make the set better and smoother." And he was arguing for it to be I I on my personal time. And I said, "My personal time is important to me because I have a newborn baby. When I go home, I prepare for the next day. I feed my baby, I work out, I have a lot of responsibilities. I really need my time, and this is not a personal meeting, it's a production meeting." And as I'm having this negotiation with him, I turn to him and he's staring straight at me. He's no longer facing the wall. He's staring straight at me. And I said, "Jamie, what are you doing? You said you would turn around." Oh, sorry. I like to make eye contact with people when I talk to them. And I said, "You need to leave." And so he left the trailer and I finished getting ready. I was incredibly shaken. My memory is my hair and makeup. The women who did my hair and makeup were shaken as well. And then I finished doing my work and I went in and I took the meeting. When you said he was looking at you, was he looking in your eyes or somewhere else? Well, when I turned, he was fully facing me and I was topless. So I don't know all of the contours of my body that his eyes were on. Okay. And when you were topless, did you have body makeup on? Yes. And as you sit here today, you don't. And then it jumps to 132. And what did he say? To which one? To why those scenes existed, anyone. The characters climaxing at the same time, he told me that he and his wife orgasm at the same time and asked me if my husband and I do the same. When I said that the scenes felt pornographic, he shared with me that he, as he put it, had been previously addicted to pornography, and so he understood it very well, and that the scenes were not, in fact, pornographic, but instead they were told through the female gaze because this is what women wanted to see. That women want to see themselves being pleasured on camera. There was a scene that he was proposing in which his character, Ryle, brings the character Lily to orgasm on camera, and I felt like I would be mortified to shoot something like that at this stage in my life and career and being the mother of 4 kids, and given that that was not in the understanding of the script that I came into the film with, he told me that those were some of his most precious memories, and I don't remember the exact words he used, but between him and his wife, when he would bring her to orgasm and she would ask to then, I guess, do what needed to happen for him, and he would say, "No, that's enough." That was so was this in connection with the creation of the scene? Attorney Hudson, objection. Was what in connection with the creation of a scene? This discussion about how the scene should go. Was he discussing with you why he felt like the scene should go one way versus another? He was using personal experiences and descriptives in a conversation that my intention was to discuss the gratuitous sex that I felt it was added, but I felt it was gratuitous that had been added to the script. And my intention was to have a creative discussion about the scenes, and they made a surprising and really disturbing departure into personal conversations. Where did that meeting take place? At my office. And then it skips to 137. Shutting down the conversation, that's how I told him to stop. So the actual words that you used was saying, "I've never seen it." Is that right? Answer, well, his attempt to explain corn was and how what I felt to be corn was in fact corn, and that he was expressing his expertise on it given his previous addiction. And in an effort to no longer be talking about corn, because I was never trying to talk about corn, I said the scenes felt pornographic and I wasn't opening a door to discuss pornography or anyone's past with it. I attempted to shut it down and change the subject. And did you ever tell Justin, don't talk about pornography to me anymore? That's what I felt I expressed. And you expressed that by using the words, I've never seen it. Attorney Hudson, objection. I said, I've never seen pornography. I don't know anything about it. Prior to saying that to Justin, had you, and it jumps to 139, sure. Are you claiming that as part of your lawsuit that it was sexual harassment that either Justin or Jamie disclosed to the cast and crew that you never looked at corn? Attorney Hudson, objection. I felt upset and disturbed and exposed that an effort at deflecting something that he had said that felt like it had crossed a line, instead of him taking that and not doing it anymore, that he took that and used that in front of other crew members in the workplace. No. Oh my god, you guys in the comments, you're killing me. And is this Justin or Jamie also? Jamie was always around Justin. They were a pair, so my memory of them together on set, and that was them together. Did you actually overhear Justin or Jamie tell crew members or cast members that you never looked at pornography? Yes, I remember hearing that. You heard it from them directly. I remember hearing from Justin. Yes. And Justin said that in front of you. Yes. And who did he tell? I don't remember specifically. I remember him speaking about pornography in a casual way. And he said, "Oh, Blake doesn't know anything about it. She's never seen it." When was this? What date? I don't remember what date. Do you remember the month? It would have been in May of 2023. Did you bring this up with Ange? I don't remember if I made it to that. Did you bring it up with anybody at Sony? Eventually, yes. In May or June, did you bring it up to them? No, I don't know if I made it to that. Like I said, Anne shut me down quickly, telling me I couldn't file an HR claim through Sony. Who was the Who was there when Justin was saying that you had never seen corn? Who in the cast or crew were present for that? Attorney Hudson, objection. I don't remember specifically. I remember the feeling more than I remember the specifics. Can you be more specific? Because it jumps to 147. Sure. Did Leslie Sloan call you and tell you that she received information from Stephanie Jones about a smear campaign or something similar to that? Answer, she did not. Did you learn from Leslie Sloan that there were text messages in Jen Abel's phone? No. Who did you learn that from? Ashley Avignon? Who is that? She's a friend of mine. And what did she tell you? She said that a woman that she knows named Stephanie Jones was trying to get in touch with me. She gave me more details. When did she tell you that? Late August of 2024. And did she tell you that in writing or on the telephone? On the phone. And what else did she tell you? She told me that she works with a woman in, and it jumps to 184, another, and each day key crew members were not there, which is odd on a film set. There is not a lot of substitution with key members, and I noticed that a key member or two was missing, and then the next day there were more missing, and then I noticed I started to feel symptoms, and I asked someone where the crew members were, and I was told that they have COVID. And I asked Alex Sachs if she knew that, and she said yes. And I said, "Why didn't anyone let me know?" And she said, "Well, there aren't necessarily COVID protocols that we have to follow anymore." And I said, "I understand, but I'm the only person who can't wear a mask. And if I knew that people were sick per SAG, I could ask for people to test when they arrive at work. Just for the time period where there is an outbreak, I could ask that others in close proximity wear a mask. It's not something I would have exercised usually because if there wasn't an outbreak, because I wouldn't want to put an additional burden on the budget or the Attorney Hudson. Just before you go on, are you okay? The witness, yeah. Attorney Friedman, do you want to take a break? The witness, no, it's fine. Go, let's go. On the June 1st meeting, did you, uh-oh, let me put a stop. just defending me from the outside world. I don't know what words I used because I wasn't planning on addressing the HR issues with them directly in my trailer with Alex Sachs in that moment, but I did express real concern for the things that had occurred thus far, including Jamie entering my trailer and when I was naked from the waist up. So, when Jamie showed you the video of the birthing scene, the after birthing scene, are you familiar with that? Attorney Hudson, objection. That's not what I said. No. Do you recall Jamie showing you a still image on his iPhone? Attorney Hudson, objection. No, I recall a moving image. Did you watch the movie? Attorney Hudson, objection. A movie? I wouldn't characterize it as a movie. No. Well, did you just say movie image? Moving image. Oh, moving image. I apologize. Did you watch the moving image? As soon as I saw that it was a naked woman fully exposed, I asked him to stop. Was there a birthing scene during the production of It Ends With Us? We had already shot the birthing scene when he showed me that video. And did he tell you why he was showing you the video? No. And he just showed it to you without explaining anything about it? Yes. And you just looked at it, and how long did you look at it for? Attorney Hudson, objection. Very briefly. Very briefly, meaning 2 minutes, a minute. I stopped it as soon as I saw that there was a naked woman he was showing me because I didn't know what it was. There was no context. He did not ask if I wanted to see it. He did not ask for my consent. I asked if he told me it was his wife giving birth. I asked if she had given consent to share that with me. And what did she say? She wasn't there. What did he say that she said? She's not weird about that kind of stuff. Did he tell you why he was showing it to you? No. You had no idea whatsoever why he was showing it to you. Attorney Hudson, objection. No, there was no reason to show me that day. We were shooting in a Boston bar. During the June 1st meeting that we were just talking about, attended by yourself, Jamie, Justin, and Alex Sachs during that meeting, did you call the actions by Justin Baldoni sexual harassment? What actions? My God, she's so exhausting. Why are you even in this case, Blake? If you don't even know what he's referring to. Oh my God. I can't. I can't with her. Needed that little break. Is it just me? Is she exhausting? I feel like even just reading this, I feel like I'm doing the work. Like, what actions, Blake? The actions that you raised at that June 1st meeting, Attorney Hudson, objection. I don't believe he would have said to a man, "It's not his fault, it's mine." I thought you wanted, quote, "I wanted to see it," end quote, without acknowledgement or apology or reparations or no, I do feel that I was treated differently. Yeah, I just wanna know what you said at the meeting. Attorney Hudson, objection. I remember discussing the video that Jamie showed me. I remember discussing the Jamie entering my trailer, and I don't know if I told him this or if this is another thing that Anne shared, but how bad it felt for him to tell me personally that that I looked sexy and that I looked hot and that I was also disturbed by the way that I understood Jenny to be feeling and experiences I'd seen with her. During the June 1st meeting, did you call the actions by Justin sexual harassment? Did you use that term? I remember using the word HR claims. HR what? Claims. Claims. During the meeting on June 1st, did you call the actions by Jamie sexual harassment? Attorney Hudson, objection. I think the actions I'm describing are pretty obviously sexual harassment. I'm asking you whether you actually called them that at good God, the writing, the way this is worded. I'm asking you whether you actually called them that at the meeting that was attended by these people. Like I said, I don't Attorney Hudson, objection. Remember what words were used because I never intended to talk to them about it. All right. Themselves. I intended to formally, I would do a Colleen Hoover film because the narrative of the sentiment was that this book romanticized and sexualized, more specifically, not romanticized, but sexualized domestic violence. And does negative press bother you? Attorney Hudson, objection. So 208, did that? Yeah, that did jump. So one from page 192 and ended on, I intended to formally. That's the end of 192. It jumps to 208 and starts with, I would do a Colleen Hoover film because the narrative or the sentiment, not romanticized, but sexualized. And then Brian asks, and does negative press bother you? Attorney Hudson, objection. I'm used to it after this many years in the industry, but it's not something I've had to deal with often. That's just basically at least once every 2 years throughout the 21 years she's been in the business. My lord. Wow, what a spin. Oh, and that's being generous. It's probably once every year for 21 years, if we're being honest. Well, I mean, it's true that you dealt with negative press with respect to being married on a plantation. I'm screaming. He did not. Okay, so the question is, well, I mean, it's true that you dealt with negative press with respect to being married on a plantation during kind of the height of Black Lives Matter, is that right? Oh, I wanna frame that. I need to put that somewhere on my wall. I need to keep that. And of course, Attorney Hudson, objection. It's true that I dealt with negative press during that. I was not married then, and I feel like the negative press was deserved. It's a mistake we have publicly acknowledged and done a lot of work to reconcile for ourselves and others. Where? Yes, thank you, Khaleesi Direwolves. Please remember to like and subscribe. It is. CJ. Oh, is that CJ a citizen journalist? Ugh, where I maybe I should check the messages too. Okay, no updates in the group chat, so probably everybody's making content and posted right now. Okay. And just to be clear, you're not alleging that anything related to the plantation wedding is a part of the smear campaign. Is that correct? Attorney Hudson, objection. No. And does it skip 208 jumps to 261? Attorney Hudson, objection. No. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, I didn't think so. I just wanted to be clear. All right, I just want to get a timeline of things. The production started in early May of 2023. Is that right? Of the movie It Ends With Us? The filming itself started, I believe, yeah, in May of 2023. Okay, and was that in California? No, it was in New Jersey. Oh, I thought everything was in California. Okay, and then there was a writer's strike that stopped it in June of 2023. Correct? Correct. And then production resumed maybe on January 5th of 2024. Is that right? That sounds correct. Okay. Was that also in New Jersey or was that in California? That was in New Jersey. We shot a couple days in California at the end. And jumps to 274. When Mr. Friedman allegedly made these defamatory comments on behalf of Mr. Wallace, did he make them prior to the lawsuit, to that lawsuit, which has now been dismissed, being sent to New York? Attorney Hudson, objection. How about that? Attorney Hudson, objection. My understanding is that Mr. Friedman's harmful statements started as soon as the first case started, which would be mine. So December of 2024. Okay. The premiere of It Ends With Us. The film was on August 6th of 2024. Is that right? I don't know the exact date, but that sounds correct. Okay. Attorney Babcock, have you got 1051? I may have a document that might help. The witness, thanks. Attorney Babcock, you can attach that one. Exhibit 1051 by Attorney Babcock. Question 1051. If you go to the fourth page, next to last page, it says Tuesday, August 6th, 7 p.m. It Ends With Us premiere. Location AMC Lincoln Square, 1998, Broadway, New York, New York. Does that refresh your recollection as to when the premiere was? Sorry, I wasn't there yet. This is 8981, Tuesday, August 6th. It Ends With Us premiere. Yes. Okay. And the film's release was on August 9th. Is that right? In the United States, yes. It released at different times in different international territories, but for the sake of our conversations today, when I've talked about the day the film was released, I was talking about August 9th. Okay. And you testified earlier that that was when you first became aware of the negative argument or the negative article about you, right? Attorney Hudson, objection. Uh, Not an article. No, no, not one article. Is that the last page? That is. That is the end of 41 pages of her deposition. That is my favorite part out of this whole thing is Brian Friedman putting it to her about the plantation wedding and Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Brian. Okay, the PGA letter. Oh yeah, no, I've read the PGA letter and it is I some people have described it as manic and to me, because I've talked about her patterns of behavior. I've questioned, like, is it a personality disorder? Is there psychosis here? Because if you've seen my other platform and you've seen my other 300 post playlist, I've questioned, like, is it possible that there's any familiarity, any, I don't know, semblance of similarity between her and Kendra? Because when Kendra, I fell in love with my therapist, became a thing, and the way Kendra would talk, it was just kind of like, oh, these feel very, very similar. And it made me question, is it possible that Blake suffers from a form of psychosis? But psychosis is periodic, right? It's not sustained. And so that's the biggest thing that's throwing me off is how is she so similar to Kendra with the delusions and the instant forming of alternate narratives, but then it's just like this massive disconnect and this incredible ability to spin reality for something that it isn't. And so I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not a trained therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have any degrees in that sort of thing. And so it's just kind of like, what is it? Because usually with psychosis, you see a completely different, like they shift in and out. Like some days are very lucid and clear, and other days people are just very distant, disconnected, and aren't dealing in reality. But with Blake, it's just this constant, sustained because we've had so many conversations of she talks about things that have factually happened, but not at all according to the context that she has retold the stories about them. And it's funny because as I've had this conversation with AI, because of things like Kendra, because of things like the religious psychosis happening with people and it getting publicized and attention on social media, the platform has adapted and altered the way that it has the conversation. So there have been times where it has fully agreed and had very extensive conversations with me about the fact that there is some form of disordered patterns of behavior. And it has reasserted over and over, like, I can't diagnose her, we're not diagnosing her, and I've even had to restate, like, I am not trying to diagnose her, I'm trying to understand the patterns of behavior and what they might be attached to. Again, not because I want to diagnose, and this is what I'm saying to the AI conversation, but because I want to get a clear understanding. When we as humans, as individuals, bump into people who display these types of behaviors, things that we should really pay attention to in order to be able to protect ourselves from people that are that we're never going to be equipped to deal with, that we're never going to be able to navigate in a healthy and safe way without being trained professionals. And so if we start to see these patterns of behavior and we start to recognize these narratives, these uh inabilities to accept new information and come to a new conclusion type of patterns, that we need to take heed of them and do what we can to protect ourselves. And it's just so it baffles me because it's like I don't see something that seems like psychosis because it's like it's so sustained for such a long period of time. But then going back to disorders, like the classic, I guess, understanding of recognizing a disorder is the unchanged behavior. And so the Blake that we were dealing with during Gossip Girl era is literally the same person that we're dealing with it in It Ends With Us. And she's been in the business for 21 years. So for the 21 years that we've seen her in the public eye, she has not emotionally or psychologically grown for that entire time. And that is usually one of the classic textbook signs of the potential for a personality disorder, is that no matter how much new information comes in, they will never come to a new conclusion. They will never take it and recognize, like, there's a different direction I can go with this. And so classic textbook understanding of personality disorders is that a person essentially doesn't grow, doesn't doesn't develop over a span of years at a time. And so at this point, 21 years in, because what we see in the text messages between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift is that she's still doing what she did to Penn Badgley. And so now my struggle is, what is the truth of Taylor Swift? Is Taylor Swift a bird of a feather, or is Taylor Swift somebody who was acting and behaving based on unverified rumors being told to her, being fed to her by Blake Lively? And because Blake Lively is an unreliable narrator, that allowed Taylor to say the things that she said, make the choices that she did. However, I did make a post about this already because I'm kind of like, I'm still not good with that. Because if you are a person who claims to be the person that you are, based off of the docu-series about the Eras Tour, that's that form of a person, in my opinion, in my ideals, would be someone who could hear something negative and awful about a person and still verify. And I think that's my biggest problem that I have here, is that Taylor has said, she said in the making of Canceled, that she's been that person in the public eye. She's been scrutinized. She's been apparently attempted to be canceled. And the problem that I have with that is she knows what can happen with misinformation. She knows what can happen with uh misconstrued stories. and how that can damage a person and hurt a person emotionally and psychologically, but at no point did she afford Justin Baldoni the opportunity to be a human first and afford him some level of clarification, some level of input. She just took everything that Blake said and was like, "That's it. He's as bad and as awful as she claims, and that's all I need." She doesn't show that she used any discernment that, like, maybe this doesn't match the narrative. And that's where I now struggle with who is the true Taylor. Yeah, Christine, there's been a few people that have questioned that, and that's something that I've been questioning from as far back as the beginning with Ryan, because there's such buy-in from so many people. But now that we're looking at what we're looking at, and as soon as January of 2025 hit, we were already seeing massive cracks in the foundation. And so even as early as January 2025, I was thinking, was Ryan bought in as hard as he was because Blake wasn't telling the truth? And was Blake retelling factual events in a way that sounded worse than what they actually were, so that Ryan, was going into Hulk mode and trying to defend his wife? But, like, what was he defending her against? By all accounts, everything that we're finding in the evidence is like, no, these were just like normal dudes doing normal dude things, and they weren't nefarious. And even if these things made them feel uncomfortable, these are such low level things that it could have been like, "Hey, I don't like this. Can we not do this? Can we do this in a different way?" And I honestly believe that Justin and Jamie are the type of people that would be like, "Oh, my bad. Sorry. Yep, we'll do differently." Yeah. Yeah, so because that was one of the things very early on in the December and January era of this case. There were a lot of people, because I was talking about patterns of behavior, people were already talking very extensively about the idea that Blake Lively most likely has borderline personality disorder. And that was the whole reason why I was questioning, is this a personality disorder that's driving this bus? Because my thing specifically with borderline personality disorder is that all of my content where I talk about patterns of behavior and I talk about how this echoes a lot of what we're seeing with Blake, is that I apparently my trauma comes from the fact that most likely my mother, my adoptive mother, um, most likely suffered from borderline personality disorder. And that is why I lived such a tormented life. And because I've had the extensive existence of living under the caregiving of a person with borderline personality disorder, it has bled out into all of my other relationships, and it's why I've ended up in abusive relationship after abusive relationship after abusive relationship, is because that's that's what I'm programmed for. And so it's been this very sickening discovery in my life of like, oh, all of my past partners. Like, if we really look at the patterns of behavior that they've been engaging in, so no wonder I was always painted in a corner. No wonder I was always in a situation that I was never going to be seen for what and who I really am. And no wonder I was always in a lose-lose situation. Like, it didn't matter what I did. I was going to be painted as the villain, and I was going to be painted as the person most responsible or solely responsible for all wrongs and all needs to make things right. And so one of the biggest things is with that is that one of my oh, hold on.